All right, here we are, boys.
What's up, Bryson?
Here we go. How you doing?
The
Good.
interwebs.
It's been a long time.
Yeah,
what have you been doing with that mat, Mitch? I meant to ask you.
It was
some flips on it.
I got it in the mail yesterday, and it was raining
Yeah.
out. So I was like, "Oh man, I gotta pump this thing up." So I stuffed it down my hallway and pumped it up.
Is it for
bouncing
outdoors?
on it. Yeah, doing some flips on it today in the backyard.
Is
Yeah,
it pretty cool?
Yeah. It's pretty sweet. Yeah, it doesn't
like bounce to it, obviously.
Yeah, it's kind of like gymnastics floor.
Yeah,
Like it's not like trampoline. It's not like it's like softer, obviously, than jumping on grass and stuff.
Yeah.
It gives you a little bit of a kick, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty fun.
Oh, that's cool.
Just adding stuff to the house.
You got your
New furniture.
your balance rope or your balance strap, whatever you got. You got your
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
All
perfect.
kinds of random stuff.
Yeah, no, totally. Well, welcome everybody, and we got Jacob Bryson, obviously with the Buffalo Sabres, and Mitch Stewart, who's kind of been the number 1 and 2 here for the basically all the lives. But Mitch, how you doing, buddy? How's everything going?
I'm doing really well. As Bryson alluded to, I got some new toys, so I've been bouncing around on those things, working out in the basement. Yeah, just having fun. Been doing well. How about you, Blazer? No one asked that.
No, I'm good. 2 kids at home school, which is amazing. I've just been doing that, and yeah, it was nice. We kind of started to get back on the ice a little bit with some of the old like pro guys and stuff, which is good. And I know Mitch, you've started to have some of the guys back, to train, which is nice. So yeah, it's been right. And then Bryce, how about you? When did you get back? And you're stuck in quarantine right now, aren't you?
Yeah, so I'm on day 4 of quarantine. I got 10 days left, but I stayed in Buffalo a little bit after because my lease wasn't up till like June 1st. So I was like, while Ontario was shut down, I just kind of stayed there, played a little golf. And then,
yeah, for
You're gonna say, how many rounds did you get in?
I probably played like 7 or 8 so far, but I'm waiting to get out because Mitch and I are members again at the Oaks this year. So
yeah, nice.
Just swinging your club in the backyard.
Yeah, I'm putting around.
Not much. You get a net. Get a net.
Yeah, my dad has one actually. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Hey, how was it getting across the border and stuff? Was it pretty smooth coming through to Canada?
Yeah, it's pretty easy. Like there's no lines, obviously, and then I guess it depends on who your border agent is. But the girl I had was pretty nice.
It's good.
It was it's all seamless, but I know some guys have gotten letters just kind of getting them out of quarantine, but I wasn't able to, so it's no big deal. But
are you all vaccinated too?
Yeah. So I got Pfizer, the 2-shot. Down there. I think most of our team got it, like probably 20 to 30 guys. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah. It seems like most of the guys that have come back from over the border, whether NHL, AHL, NCAA, like most of them have gotten 2. A couple of them got the Johnson & Johnson. So I think that was a one-shotter. But yeah.
Well, you saw that new rule like they brought out yesterday, like
in July, right? Like
I think it's end of June or early July where if you're vaccinated.
It doesn't help you.
Which not right now. But
doesn't help you right now.
I have to go back and come back.
Going back, it's true.
Yeah,
right?
You can go in, train a bit, like come back, like
you can do a day trip.
Because I was talking to Jonesy, he was saying he might do a golf trip or something up in Michigan, so I might visit him end of June.
Yeah, right. That'd be nice. Totally.
A little weekend,
No, that's good. I mean, the first question I want to ask you is like, how sick was it to play? I know it was a weird year, obviously with COVID and like, not a lot of fans and all that kind of stuff. But like, how sick was it to play your first NHL game? Yeah,
it was sick. Obviously, there's no fans. It was in New Jersey, so that was our first one. I don't know. It was it was a good experience. Surprisingly, I wasn't nervous at all, which kind of surprised me. I always thought when that moment would come, like I'd be kind of shaking in my boots a little bit, but I wasn't bad at all. Like, I felt fine out there. Like I kind of felt like I belonged, and I don't know. I think it went a lot better in my head than I thought it was going to be. So it was fun, and then as the year went on, like fans started coming back, so it made the atmosphere a lot better. And Buff, we didn't really have them, but like when we played on the road and stuff, there were full crowd, so it was fun. Good year, good learning year, even though it was crazy conditions.
Yeah, it's an interesting introduction to the league, eh? Like it's I don't know if it maybe that's even kind of nice to get your first game out of the way without a whole lot of like electricity in the room and like
maybe maybe that's why I wasn't nervous because just like you're playing like not in front of everyone. So I don't know. It felt different.
I mean, you know, it's broadcasted, but it's not the same as having like all the horns and the screams and then whatever going on. Yeah,
100%. Yeah,
cool.
Jake, you mentioned something earlier, which I never even thought of, to be honest with you, because when you play after you kind of played your first game, I remember texting and being like, "Man, congrats!" Because any of the guys that get a chance to play, like even their first game or their first next in the NHL, like I'm pumped. Like, and Mitch is the same. Like, that's awesome, man. Like, it's you're up there. And then you kind of mentioned like it was like not in that text, but you were just talking about this, saying like, yeah, it would have been cool if my parents were there, and I never even thought of that, because totally you get called up from the eights, like mom, dad, I got called up, like I might get a chance to play, and then like mom, dad, go to Jersey or go to wherever, and like hopefully it happens, right? And that kind of for sure that they didn't get a chance.
Yeah, the first thing my dad said when I came home was, "I can't wait till next year when I can finally see a game." We watched all 40 of them on TV. So.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I think it'll still be cool for them even to see just me playing there. Like, it doesn't have to be the first game. Like, I think next year it'll be. We'll have a lot of fun with it.
It'll be not even that. It'll be better and better. You're gonna know the league better. You're gonna know the restaurants.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, first game, it sucks. You don't know anything. You're just a rookie. Like, this is
and Buffalo's easy too. It's only like when I drove home there's only 2 hours and like 15 minutes. Like, it's so quick. So it's easy for them, which is good.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, that's great, man. That's so good. One thing too, and we'll get into like training and all this kind of stuff too, because Grace, you got a kind of and you know this already. We've gone, obviously we've known you for a long time, but you got a really cool story that I think resonates a lot with a lot of young players, right? Because we just had the OHL draft that happened. Weird year this year. A lot of kids didn't play, whatever, but a lot of kids went through the draft, didn't get drafted. And I know that happened to you. And as far as like the OHL draft, which is kind of a big deal in our area, but growing up an undersized defenseman, you played in a really good age group with the 97s, with your cousin Mitch, you got Konechny, Kroos, you got a bunch of like good players in that group. But for you, as far as like not getting drafted and then continue on, I want to touch on the draft quickly, but what was that like for you? Did that give you a little bit extra fire in your belly, saying like, I'm going to prove these guys wrong? Or was it just kind of like, I get it, I'm small, my time will come? Like, how'd you kind of approach that?
Yeah, for sure. I think it was more seeing like your friends get drafted and you're not getting picked. Like, there were so many guys on that London team that we had that got picked. And, I didn't see my name out there. So, and it was similar thing happened in the NHL, same thing. So when I was looking for your name, you don't see it, like, it kind of sucks. But I don't know. I kind of just took it like as it came. I was just like, I'll do another year of midget. Like, it's no big deal. I would go to a lot of the games and watch my close friends, and obviously Mitch, my cousin. I would catch them, and I enjoyed watching them. But I don't know. I just kind of got exposure a little bit in the States. Started with prep school, and then it just kind of took off from there. It was just like year after year was just something else would come up and a good opportunity, and I just sat down a lot of the time with my parents and said, you know what, this might be the best option for my career, and just kind of roll with it. I know I was obviously different than a lot of guys at home, and it was fun to see them playing the OHL and stuff, and I kind of wish I was there at times, but at the same time I was being on my own page and kind of doing things individually, and I learned a lot from it, and it was a good experience. Like, and I guess it shows that there's so many ways to get there. Like, it's not just one route. I think that's the biggest thing, is you can't let your dreams get crushed if something doesn't go your way.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, I mean, I when I played, I was an undersized guy. You're an undersized defense. Like, I had a bit of a chip on my shoulder at times. There's no doubt about that. I'm not hiding any of that. But how much fuel did that give you a little bit when you saw guys that you're better than, and they're maybe like 6'2", and you're like, I can outplay that guy, man. Like, did it give you a little more drive to like kind of push to say, you know what, I'm gonna work my tail off here because I want to get to whatever junior, I want to get to this next level? Like, did it kind of push you to say, you know what, I'm gonna work hard on these guys. I'm gonna show everyone that they're wrong?
Yeah, it definitely did. And I think in the long run, when you look back at it and you say, like, I think I made the right decision of, working so hard, and you can say, like, maybe I was better than those guys, and just took time for, people to realize. And I think a big thing was I learned kind of how to play. Like, there's at a certain age, obviously, you stop growing. So I knew that I was going to be 5'9" probably for the rest of my life. So if I wanted to make it to the next level, then this is what my size and my frame was really going to be. So there was nothing I could change about that. But I think just whatever's in your control, you can kind of work on those things and get better at little things off and on the ice to get you that next level.
Hey, Bryson, when you say like that, at a certain point you realize that you're going to be 5'9", you got to learn how to play that way. What did you do to try to educate yourself on how to play at that size? Like, was it watching specific guys that played in the NHL? Was it what kinds of things did you do to try to figure that out?
Yeah, I think that's one of the big things. Is I would always watch certain guys like Krug and those guys and be like, you know what, I can be the same way as them. It's just going to take time and it's going to take a lot of development. And then obviously working with you two guys, in the gym and on the ice, just little things that I can get better at and maybe can have that advantage over the big guys that can't do the things that I can do. And
totally,
I know like there's assets in my game that I have that some other guys don't, and it's basically speed, and that's one thing we've always worked on. And then just being a smart hockey player is the other thing. So I think we did a good job of trying to get stronger every year, and being a small guy, I have to be strong. I have to be able to push those guys around. So that was the one focus that I had, is getting faster and being stronger on my feet, and I can compete with those guys. And I think that's just kind of what I took in and what I focused on the most.
I love that. I think it's such an important mindset to just, like you said, you kind of start looking inward and figure out what it is that you need to do to make it to that level, and not looking at the things that you might not have, but look at the things that you do have and that you can excel on.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
It was. And it was almost like a competition, because I saw, Whitey and Van de Sample and all those guys, they got there so quick, and I was just slowly climbing, like, year after year, I was on a different path. And I just was like, when I get there one day, like, it'll be fun to look, them in the eyes, and we both got there. It just took
exactly. I love that. I remember when Blazer and we went out to the 2015 draft, and I remember you were out there, and it's pretty cool to think, like you just said, you've been surrounded by a lot of people that are also on a path to the NHL and now in the NHL. And that's pretty cool for you to have been able to kind of see that the different routes and still stick to your own and make your way.
Yeah, different path.
Okay, I think this is huge, because the big thing with getting to the NHL is being a bit patient. Like, there's some players get drafted first round in the OHL, get drafted first round in the NHL. They're 19, that's great, right? Or 18, that's amazing. But you got to be patient. Now, during your journey, obviously, you saw other guys get drafted, other guys getting these opportunities, other guys getting these chances. Like, were you just kind of like, okay, like you and your parents kind of like, okay, let's stay the course. It's okay. We got our own thing figured out. Or were there times where you got impatient? Because this is a conversation I have with young guys all the time. Mitch, you too. Like, it's okay, man. Just relax. You're gonna get stronger. You're gonna get you're on the right track. You're not tail off. You're a good kid. Like, you're gonna be fine. Just relax, right? Is this something that you kind of thought about at all, or did you get impatient at all, or were you pretty patient throughout it?
Yeah, I would say probably right after the OHL draft was probably when I was most impatient. I was like, oh, what am I gonna do next year? Or these guys are all gonna go play for Sault Ste. Marie or Oshawa, and I'm like, kind of left in the dust here. I don't really know what to do, but I still had buddies on minor midget teams that I played with the next year. I just played a year of midget, and I was kind of just like I said, I didn't really know what the next step was, but I went to Knights camp that year, and they wanted me on the team, but I already had my mindset on prep school, which was just another option that kind of came about. And then I ended up going there, and then I don't know, it just kind of unfolded. Like, I had to be patient because I never knew what was coming next. When I went to prep school, I ended up getting drafted to the USHL, so that kind of unfolded, and then I ended up playing a year in Omaha, and then I was going to college anyway. So I spent 3 years there, and then I obviously got drafted, and then found the best decision was for me to sign. And then it's kind of just taken me to where I am today. I've just, it's kind of just unfolded for me nicely. I'd say I'm lucky and fortunate in a sense. I had to be patient, obviously, but the pathway kind of just opened up.
No, it's awesome, man. But one thing you kind of brushed over this, and I want to hammer on this because you just the Knights kind of wanted me, but you had 4 or 5 OHL teams. So I want to highlight this a little bit. So don't get drafted, play major midget, which, let's be honest, Bryce, a lot of kids now, and I tell kids, play major midget, man. You get confidence, play power play, penalty kill. If you're a good player, it's a good league. But a lot of players in minor midget draft year, you're like, I don't want to play major midget. No one wants to play midget, right? And then you decide to do that, have a really good year, get invited to Knights camp. A couple other teams start offering you OHL teams, and all of a sudden there's a buzz, right? All the sharks are in the water trying to let's get this kid. And I mean, you turned down pretty much, being very honest here, you turned down almost a 4-year school package to the OHL with the
so I went, right? My major midget year was really good, and I think I don't know, that year was a little different because I felt like before, when I was playing with obviously Vandy and Whitey, we had a good team, obviously. I felt like I was just in the middle of the pack, but when they all left and I went to major midget, I think that's where it kind of kicked in, where it's I can be a leader and one of the best players here. And I think that was one of my the start of one of my best years. I played really well there. Obviously, it was a good year because I was able to develop and mature in that standpoint. And then I got some OHL exposure. I was going to go to Kitchener's camp, Sarnia, and I was just going to do all of them just for the experience almost, to get really exposure. And I just ended up going just to London. They wanted me, like I said, that there was a package there, but I don't know. I just didn't know what to expect and what was going to happen. I felt like if I could get a scholarship in the NCAA, it was more of like a guaranteed route that I could get my schooling. If hockey never worked out, then, I had a degree in my pocket and it's from a good school in the States and could do something with it. So that was kind of in the back of my head. Once I made my decision, I was going to prep school. I was set on it. I know they would contact my parents and try to get me back there. That's what the OHL, that's what they do. So,
totally, right?
No, I stayed on it.
But I give you and your parents so much credit because I remember having talks to you guys as you're going through and stuff, and like, and you guys, and I wasn't selling one thing or the other. I don't care where guys go, or like do what you feel best. And the fact you stuck to your guns, man. I know a lot of other people, myself included, if my son's in that situation, I might crumble and be like, let's go play for the Knights. I don't know, or like whatever Kitchener or whatever OHL team, but. The fact that you guys stuck to it and you're like, no, this is what we're doing. This is our plan. And then obviously it worked out. But even if it didn't work out, or like you never got a game in the NHL or you never got drafted, like you got a scholarship, you know what I mean? Like it kind of worked
exactly
that way where you're, pushing towards a degree, which I think is massive. But man, I give you guys so much credit, you and your family, as far as just sticking to your guns. Cause I can imagine some of those conversations with teams like got a little bit like not uncomfortable as far as like, awkward, but just like you leave there, you're like, man, this is a pretty sick deal. Like, wow, we're turning this down right now,
Yeah. And I think me, you, and Jonesy, when it's here, set out a 5-year plan. And it almost like he still calls me all the time. This is the 5-year plan. Like it's still like, it kind of went perfect. We had it all set out like this. Yeah. I don't know. It worked out in our favor.
100%.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Definitely
and I mean, throughout that path. Yeah, like you said, there's always stuff pulling you in different directions, and it's there's a lot to be said for sticking to your guns. It's awesome.
Yeah, and they're just like there'd be days where I'd be like, I could go home right now and play for the Knights in front of my family and play against my cousin and my best friends, but I don't know. You
grow up too, also, like watching.
Yeah, exactly. And being away from home too, you learn how to be, on your own. And that was my first time. Was at prep school. I was on my own, but I had a lot of fun. Made the best of it. And then,
oh, it's huge, man. And I mean, at the end of the day too, though, Bryce, like, everything worked out and it's kind of magical, but like, it's not magical. Like somebody in the background had to work their ass off to get to where they are right now. And that's you. Like, you know what I mean? If you went out and laid an egg in prep school and were shitty in college, you would not be playing in the NHL right now. Right. Like,
no, you had to kind of work in, but when I talk to my mom about this show, it says like, I've always been good in, transitions. And every time, like, it's my first year, like I felt like I stood out. Like when I was at prep school, I felt like I was one of the best players. And then it carried on. I think it was a confidence thing. You just grow it. And if you could be one of the best players and just step right in and play. And that was like the thing for me. I would just come in and I was on the power play every year. Like there was no expectations there, but I feel like I just kind of stepped in and wowed the coaches, like everywhere I went, even in Providence too. I came in and did the same thing. And I don't know. I think that's just, it comes with, confidence, and it's hard to find, especially in the NHL, as I learned this year. If you can have confidence, it makes your game that much better.
Where did your confidence come from though? Because I remember having conversations with you before too, where I'm like Bryce, you keep doing, like, this is when you're younger, but I'm like, you keep doing what you're doing and you're going to pass some of these guys, like some of these guys that are, that are your peers, your buddies, or guys you played against. Like, you keep working the way you work, you're going to be fine, man. But where did your confidence come, like, on the ice when, like you said, you go into, Providence as a freshman, and then, you're kind of running the power play by year 1.5, 2, you know what I mean? Like, so where did that, was it just like, I know I'm good, like I know I can play, I know I've got confidence in what I can do, and then just give me a bit of a leash and let me run with it? Like,
I think the first like few games everywhere I went was like a little like, you could tell it was kind of shaky, but I feel like once you play a few games and you get in the moment, and I'd watch a lot of video and I'd rewatch my games and just learn like what are good things I can do and what are things that are going to get me to that next level, and I just continue to do those and work on those. And I think there's just things in my game that stand out from others sometimes. And if I can continue to do those, then that's going to be like, when I can be my best. But I think it was just, I would rewatch myself, and then, I'd watch those videos. I'd watch, things online about, getting better, and I'd watch my film and everything. And I feel like I learned a lot. Just when I look at the games, I'd be like, wow, like I can be the best player out here every game. And that was my mentality. And then when I went to Providence, my coach Lehman, like after the third game, he's like, "You can be the best player out here." Right before the game, he told me that, and I just I feel like I stick with it in every game. I just tell myself like, this is the game where I can be the best player out here and just stand out for everyone else. And then last year, I think I told you this already, I got sat one game in Rochester, and he was basically like, I played 40 games straight. This was my first year pro, obviously, so that's my whole college season right there. So I played 40, and then he sat me, and then he's like, we're not sitting you because of your play, but you played 40 games. We almost want to give you a mental rest and just sit up top. And that was almost the first time I think in my career where I've been scratched like that.
Yeah.
Like, what I classify as a scratch.
Sure.
And I just watched up there, and I was just thinking, I was like, wow, like it's such a different viewpoint up here. And you know what? I can be easily the best player in the AHL. And then I think I played 16 games after that, and I had my best 16 games in my whole year. Like I was. Really? I had 4 goals. Like I had 0 goals for the first 40, and then I had 4 in the last 16, and then I think I had 12 points in 16. So I almost doubled everything. Like, and I think it was just like a mindset. Like I just went up there and I watched the game and focused on it. And I was like it looks so much slower up there, and it's so much different. And that was the first time I've like really seen it. I was just like, wow, like I can. I've been fortunate to like play every game. Like I wasn't really ever hurt or anything. So, but that was the first time. It was almost like a wake up call. And I don't know. It's just different. Yeah, but it was cool at the same time.
One thing Blazers brought up a bunch of times is being a student of the game, and I love everything that you've just described is really like shows that that's largely what you've done for years of your life, whether it's, and having that perspective of if you're scratched the game, you're up there and you're not pissed off about it, but you're actually using it as an opportunity to view it from a different angle. And man, I think there's so much to be said for that. And a lot of people would be sitting up there, looking at the floor and not even watching the game. Maybe they're rattled about it. So I mean, that's amazing.
I think it's because it was the first time, and it just like, I don't know, it was almost exciting in a sense. Like I knew it wasn't like because of my play, obviously. He told me that, so that was almost like a feel good thing. So it was like, like I can take this in, I can learn. And I was sat by myself. It was in Cleveland. We were all kind of in our own little rows, and I don't know. I think ever since, because when I did my exit interviews last year, like that's what it was. It's like they said once we sat you out, like you came back like a new player. And I don't know. It's just it kind of stuck with me. It was cool.
Man, the first time I ever got sat out in a game was in junior. I was playing in Marco, actually Steve Spott, who's in the NHL now with Vegas, the assistant coach in Vegas. He was my head coach. Sat me out. I wasn't playing well. It sat me out. I was so pissed, man. I just pouted in the corner for the whole game. But this is a really good message for young kids, man, because I know your coach kind of told you like, hey, we're not sitting you out because you're play, which is nice. So you're like, okay. Yeah. I know for me, like, I don't care play, no play. I'm still pissed. But the fact that you took it, and like, I'm sure deep down inside, you're like, man, I'd way rather be with the boys than play. But
100%.
No, but taking it like that and being like, I'm going to watch the game. And then to your point, though, you watch a game from the stands, you're like, oh, man, I have way more time when I wheel than
exactly.
Later, I can make a move on this guy. Look how he's forechecking. I can pull it this way or whatever. And then all of a sudden you go back in and start implementing that stuff. And such a good lesson for young kids to understand that, man, like sometimes like watching the game or getting sat out is a bit of a wake-up call, but like take advantage of it. I didn't. Like when I got sat out, I was grumpy. I was pissed. I hated the team. I wanted to punch my coach in the face. Like, it was brutal.
Yeah, it's just the game just seems slower from up top. Like,
yeah. Oh,
I feel like you have more time, and then when you come back, you kind of you think of what you saw, and I have more time than I thought I would here to make plays and stuff. And just makes the game a lot easier.
For sure, man. Yeah, totally. No, that's awesome, man. Now, okay, so a funny story. So I was I did a podcast with Griffin Luce, right? So we were chatting, right? And just like I'm pumped. He's playing pro. This is awesome. Now he got called up to the AHL. We're having this in the podcast. We're talking, whatever. He's like, Jacob Bryson got called up, and I got I was like, no way. We're kind of this is awesome, man. Like, obviously great for Bryce to get called up to the NHL, and then Griff went up and had a good end of the season and stuff. So it's like, it's crazy how hockey works where like somebody gets hurt or something happens, guy gets an opportunity, and then all of a sudden it's like it's like Hauser, right? Like
same thing. Yeah.
Michael Hauser on there's like, I don't know, 15 goalies that went down, but it was a mess, right? And all of a sudden, he goes in and plays and wins 2 games. And so, unreal opportunity. But how did your opportunity come about? Because you had played about 5 games, I think, in the AHL, and then, got that call. Did you know that you were close to getting called up, or was it just kind of random, or, was there talks going on?
No, so I played 5 games, but then they called me up because someone got injured. And then I went up to taxi squad, and I basically was just there for 3 or 4 days. And I don't know, I had a meeting with the coach, and he was just like, you might get in like this week, but I can't guarantee you a spot or anything. And then he just said, and if you do get in, like, play your game. Don't just play simple. Like, that's what's going to make you stand out and keep you here. So he just told me that. But then I ended up getting sent back down, played another game in Roch. And then they had the whole COVID thing, which was pretty crazy. So they're all out. So I think 2 of us went up. Me and my roommate were both defensemen, and we both got called up. And then he just pulled me aside the night before. I was like, hey, you're going to be in tomorrow. So I didn't sleep very well that night. That was before my debut. And then, it just kind of just took off from there. And I played the next 4. And then, like we just talked about before, I sat one out, kind of similar to last year, just, to watch. And then I played every game from there on out for the rest of the season except for one because of injury. So I was in Roch for 2 weeks and then Buffalo for the rest of the season. So I bought a place in Roch. Like, I rented a place and then I ended up paying rent on it. Yeah, all year though. I was renting my house for no one to live in.
Were you in the hotel in Buffalo too the whole time?
Yeah. So I was in a hotel the whole time. It's attached to the rink though, which was nice, but still, there's you can't really leave or anything this year. So it was but there was like a couple other guys in there. All the taxi squad guys would live in the hotel, and then there were a couple guys in the IR that were sitting there too. So we had a good little group.
Oh, that's cool, man. Very good. Hey, I got a question here from one of our young guys here, Dylan. So he's just saying, he just asked, and we actually had before I get to this question real quick, we got there's a gentleman here with Puck Support. So Hockey at Hellback podcast, awesome, but he's a really good dude, and he's got a bunch of merch, but he helps a bunch of guys with that are going through addiction, all this kind of stuff, and wicked guy, Brady Leavold is his name, and he's awesome guy. But as pucksupport.com, wicked dude, and he's helping a ton of young guys that are going through, like, mostly hockey players and guys and girls that are going through some mental health issues or addiction issues and stuff. So great to see him kind of chime in and check out the live, which is awesome. But Dill's here, and Dill just said, who's your biggest role model? And this is something I wanted to ask you about too, because you're obviously young. You're 23 years old playing the NHL, so you watch a lot of these young guys coming in, and you've played with some of them obviously growing up. But who are some of the guys, like, role model wise for you, as kind of like your position or what you love?
Like a favorite player kind of thing, like who? Like, I think it was Krug always, especially once I got to college. Like, just seeing the route he took, and I don't know, when I talk to my parents, they say, when you step in ever, if you get the chance, you got to do the same thing. Like, because he stepped in the playoffs, and he had 3 goals in 4 games, and I think he just kind of stuck. Like, it's so hard to get to the NHL, and then even harder part is sticking there. And so that's why I watch him. I'd be like, he's obviously similar stature and size and weight and stuff. So I watch him, and I thought he was a really good player, and he did things that stuck out, but I just like the way he kind of entered the NHL, and he just stuck ever since. Never played an AHL game, and I thought that was a good idea of what I can do as well. But I obviously had a different path. But I think the NHL is all about opportunity, and when you get it, you got to make the most of it, because you never know when you get that second chance. Like, it's so hard to stick. I think that's the harder part than even making it. It's just sticking in the NHL and securing a spot. But yeah, I think Krug. I like Grizzlick as well. I've watched him a lot. And these are just guys that have been similar to me, and that I kind of looked up to and watched and be like, I could be a similar player to them. And then you play against them now, it's kind of crazy. But so I think those are probably the 2 guys I'd watch.
It's got to be nuts when you line up against some of these guys, though, eh?
Yeah, the guys you've watched, and you've modeled the game after, and then you're looking at them on the blue line. Yeah,
that is crazy, man. Anybody around that kind of like who are some other people that had a big impact in your kind of career, as far as just like guys, girls, parents, whatever, but like people that have just kind of like influenced you a little bit, or even like whatever it is, mental coaches, things like that? Do you have anybody that's kind of like really kind of been a bit of a rock for you through this whole thing? Because I mean, I'm talking minor hockey all the way through, right? But you have like dad, whoever, but like just kind of kept you straight, kept you moving kind of the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, obviously my parents, which is an obvious choice. They let me do everything that I wanted and helped me get to where I am, and basically said I could do whatever I needed to do. And then I think obviously Mitch, my cousin, was a big role model. Like, we were always, deep partners or on the same team growing up. And then when we kind of split ways, like, it was the first time we'd ever played with each other. And it was obviously tough watching him at a higher level. And, me not obviously being there, but we'd always talk during every year, and he would support me and say like congratulations. We'd always talk and stuff whenever I'd make it to the next level. Like he's always been there for me, and it's fun watching him and seeing him excel. And then when we kind of met up last year, we were both at the same point in the AHL. We never got to play against each other, unfortunately, because of COVID, but I think that would have been a pretty special moment. But I would say those three for sure. And then obviously my coaches growing up, I had great coaches that always allowed me to do everything. And like Dave Warren, you obviously know the name. Back in the day, like I had him for many years, probably the most longest time someone's coached me, and he always told me I could get to this point. My goal back then was to play in the OHL and play for London Knights when I was growing up. But he said, you can be one of them one day. And then coaches are a big thing, and then you guys as well. I've worked with you for so many years, and day in, day out, it's always been next level, top level. So
well, I appreciate it.
I don't really have like a role model though, like I don't know, like you put it.
But
like look up to or anything.
People that influence though, like
even a guy like Dave Warren who's put a lot of time in like always ran spring teams and all that stuff, and like
exactly.
Love that 97 age group, because I think his Johnny was in that age group, which is awesome, and that was a strong age group, obviously. Now was he rattled when your goal is to play for the London Knights and they offered you full pack and you're like, nah, I'm good?
I think he was upset.
You got there.
He was trying to get me there so hard, and then turn my back on him.
For sure. Oh, it's great, man. Hey, I wanted to ask you too, like going to the NHL, like because we all think and dream of playing the NHL, obviously, right? And I can only say from college to pro, which is like minor pro in the East Coast League. Yeah. I love the game. I loved pro from college. Like college was fine, but you had cages, you had guys hiding behind cages a lot, and I love pro just because it was more wide open. It was fun, and I found it a little bit easier to play. It wasn't as like kamikaze. It was a little more organized, a little bit like guys, you knew where guys were. What was it like playing in the NHL, kind of that first game, kind of the coming out of the AHL, which is an unbelievable league, obviously, but going to the NHL, was there anything that stands out to you where you're like, okay, this is way different than I thought it was going to be? Meaning like, obviously it's faster, it's quicker, but was it more positional? Was it a little bit smoother? Guys could pick up like a shitty grenade that you threw to them. Like, was it a little bit easier that way?
Yeah, I think execution is definitely probably the biggest thing. Every pass has to be on the tape, or it's going to be a turnover. And I also learned pretty quickly that it is a way faster game than it was in the AHL. In like a sense, like I feel like you have less time with the puck, like because guys are on you so quick, and then when you are making plays, guys are always in the right spot, and that can help you because on your own team, guys are always there, but at the same time, guys are always getting sticks on pucks, and they're always in the right spot at the right time, always. And then I also quickly learned every little mistake you make is either a chance against or it's a goal every time.
Right.
So that's the big thing is if you can limit your mistakes, like that's the big thing is if you can have no mistakes and, just kind of get by, like it's going to be, you're going to have a good game. And that was the one thing I learned every time I made a mistake or something. It was either it was a grade A or I was on the ice and I was -1. So I think that's the biggest thing is, looking at it is, trying to limit those mistakes. And if you don't make any mistakes, then you're not going to be on the ice for any goals against. So I think that was the thing that opened my eyes because I made a few like bad pass or something and, it would end up in the back of my net every time. So I learned quickly, I caught on quickly, kind of be more simple. And then when you did have time with the puck, that was the time to make plays. But, I just try to play a simple game and, minimize my mistakes as much as possible. But the game was definitely quicker. I also think there's like a lot less hitting than there is in the AHL. Yeah. It's like I thought college and pro AHL were very similar, and then NHL is like on a new level almost. It's guys aren't running gun as much. It's more, positional game and a more efficient game. Like guys are trying to save their energy, and that's why you see guys play 30 minutes a night is because they don't have to do as much because they're always in the right spot. Like you don't have to skate as much. Yeah. So that was different, and I don't know. I kind of learned that as the year went on, doing a lot of video and stuff. Because I told this when I had my exit interviews with the coaches that they asked the same question. Obviously, like, what do you think of your year? What'd you learn? And I told them the biggest thing was. Like I had less time with the puck, but I've always been told growing up is my feet are obviously my best asset. So play fast, move your feet always. And when halfway through the year, when I had like kind of a coaches meeting, they're saying like they think there's times where you need to play a little slower, like because I was always trying to rush things and like on line changes and stuff, like it's to hold the puck. Like so, I think a lot of like a big thing was like being patient with the puck and learning, like, you know, that playing fast isn't always the best thing. So I think that's what I've learned, because in college I could play fast, I could blow by guys easily, but it wasn't the same with NHL. So you know, I learned to hold on to pucks more and, you know, be more patient with it when you have time. And then when you don't have time, that's when you play fast and, you know, make that next play. So they were, you know, they were pretty impressed that I like noticed that myself and you know, brought that up to them.
Awesome.
I was telling when I had my interview, you know, because we had a new coaching change halfway through the year. Obviously, you saw that. Yeah. So I didn't really get to like sit down with them at all beginning of the year or anything. So I didn't really know them too well. But at the end, when I came out of that interview, they were like, we were so impressed. We were kind of amazed at what you knew. Like, we didn't really get to know you that well. And, you know, you're a lot smarter kid than we thought you were. I didn't take it as an insult, obviously, but just never got to sit down with them and talk and shoot the shit. So it was good.
No, but it's awesome. So fun, Mitch, even for you, like in the gym or on the ice, like to talk to somebody that's like a little bit like, you know, young, like you guys are young, you know, but as far as just being knowledgeable and being aware and just being like, just picking things up, I think is huge. Like what you said right there about the AHL and college, I 100% agree. It's, you know, it's systematic. It's a lot of running gun, like as far as running and hitting and like, you know, playing roles and stuff. When you get to the NHL, it's like more polished, smarter.
Yeah.
You know, it's just guys are in the right position for the most part. You're right. Like you mess up, it's going to be a grade A or it's going to be a turnover and they're going the other way. Like it's, you know, there's no doubt about that. Right. But it's so refreshing to have players for number one, being able to have dialogue with you. Cause a lot of players go to these conversations, they don't even talk, which is hard for coaches. Right.
Yeah.
Like actual feedback and some actual, I totally get it. I know. I totally know what you're saying. Cause one thing I think that's really hard for players to understand is like slowing the game down, because we grow up in minor hockey being like, go fast, 100 miles.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like,
no, your feet stop moving all the time. I want you to glide. I want you to read. I want you to watch. Like, make sure you know what's going on, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it is something, right? That's kind of ingrained in us. Yeah. Like, you got to keep going. And it's not that way at all, which is and it's great that like you're learning this so young, because man, what's going to happen hopefully, right, is you're going to keep getting better and better and better and better, and, you know, reading what's going on and kind of picking up on stuff. And which is great, man.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what the NHL is. It's tough to find things to work on, and because, you know, that is the best of the best when you're up there. And if I could just find little things to make my game better, then I think, you know, we'll go in the right direction. So
totally
every little thing, and that's probably what we're going to work on this summer. You know, I'm excited to get back to the gym and on the ice. We got 10 days left, like I said, but can't wait. It's
see you soon.
It's gonna be a good summer. Stuff starting to open up again. So
I know
it should be good. I'm excited.
Good. I was gonna ask you too, like going in like to the season, was there anybody that really impressed you? I know you guys had a condensed season, obviously, and played like limited teams, but in watching games, because I mean, I'm sure you watch NHL games differently than you did last year, the year before playing in the NHL, right? Like now you see stuff like, that's not a big deal. You know, whereas before you'd be like, whoa, that guy pulled that off. And you're like, no, I could totally spin off that. That's fine. Is there anybody that you watch or you played against? You're like, man, like I respect that guy. I respect that position. I respect how he plays. Is there anybody that's like kind of popped off to you now that you're at that level?
Yeah. I mean, obviously the guys that stand out, like the Crosbys and Barzal, but I thought Letang was really, really good when we played. Every time we played him, he was always like, it was almost like that fourth forward every time. And then defensively, when we would watch video and stuff, like he was always the guy like that was in the defense clips too. Like he was so good, like so sound. And every time we played them, I think he had a point. Like, I don't know. I would watch him and, you know, watch him closely, because you can learn from those kind of guys. And then obviously, like I said, those good guys, like the guys that stand out, like Crosby and, you know, Barzal, they're tough to defend. And Crosby gets his stick on everything. Like you kind of pick that up though, and you notice like who's on the ice. That's one thing I did, is when there's a line change, like you can look, because, you know, different lines. Like I'd say like a good example is like Pittsburgh. They have two lines that play like really like, you know, they're skilled, and they have two lines that play totally different. Like, so you got to know.
Right.
I think it's one thing is you got to be aware who's on the ice, because you could be playing a totally different, you know, like tactic. And I think that was a big thing, is every team had different lines, and that's what the fourth line's for. That's what those other lines are for. So you got to be aware of who's on the ice. Those guys obviously they're unreal players. Barzal's so hard to stop in the corners. You don't know which way he's going to turn.
Yeah.
But, I think Letang stood out a lot. And then, you know, there was a lot of guys. We only played 6 teams. I think that's another kind of crappy part about this year is,
Sure.
you're in like a little bubble with all those teams. You don't really get the, the full experience, I'd say, but I don't know, that makes even next year more exciting. So
totally.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely, man. I had a question here from Andrew Murray. I'll pull it up here. So what are your best tips for getting motivated to train in the off season? You all know, like, no, but you got golf, you got you've got weekends out, you got cottages, all that stuff, and what are some things that kind of keep you motivated in the off season to kind of like get ready for that, obviously that next season, but do you have any issues with getting motivated or staying motivated, and what are some things?
No, and I think like I know all of us that train at TPH are always excited to go to the gym. Like we come home and supposed to take a couple weeks off, let your body rest after the season, but I'm always antsy to get back in there. And obviously I am right now in quarantine. This is my rest, and then when it comes time next week, like I'm ready to go. But I think the biggest thing is probably just having a plan. If you can have a plan that you're going to wake up at 8 a.m. and do a workout every day, like it makes it a lot easier rather than just getting up and saying like, should I work out or not today? Because that's how I feel right now in quarantine. Like, should I go around the treadmill? It's hard to say like, yeah, I should.
Yeah.
So I think if you have a little group that you can work out with or skate with, whatever it is you're doing, it definitely helps. So you guys all go together because it can be tough working out by yourself. You might not be as motivated. But when I get to go to the gym every day and see my buddies and we get to do a workout together, see all the trainers and stuff, it's a lot of fun. So I think having a plan, and usually my summer plan is just work out, skate. Those are my priorities, obviously, and then if I have time, I'll golf or hang out with my family. So that's I have the same regimen basically every day, and Monday to Friday, and then I know that I have to wake up and do what I have to do those days to get better, and then I know on the weekends I can have fun and hang out with your friends. So I think having a set plan from day to day and in the week helps a lot. To get you up and out of bed at the same time every day.
Totally. I know. I think that's huge. And Mitch, you probably that too, like on ice and off ice as well. Like having exactly what Bryce said, but like having a plan. So whether it's like, hey, I need to get stronger, I need to lose weight, I need to become more fit or more flexible or more whatever. Like when you meet with these guys and other athletes, like it's like, let's put together a plan and then we'll you know what I mean? So then at least they know that they're working towards what they want to work towards. You know what I mean? So any athlete anywhere, no matter what age, like, talk to your strength. Like, how would you go about that, Mitch, a little bit when you're meeting with these guys and kind of setting this stuff up?
No, one thing I love about what Bryson said too is not just, it's obviously important to have a plan as to what you want to get out of your off ice training, your on ice training, but also having a plan for how your day is going to operate on a day-to-day basis. So like you said, you wake up at 8 o'clock, you come in, you work out. If you just have a plan about the workout itself, but not an actual structure in your day, it's still easy to flip over it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but to answer your question, Blazer, I mean, it is amazing. At the beginning of off season, I always have a conversation with guys about, how they felt last season, what they like to have, coming into the next season. And in a lot of cases, when it's the first year that they've trained with us or whatever, they get a little bit stumbled sometimes on those questions, which I'm surprised of. Some people even being at a higher level and they hadn't thought a lot about how the off ice training translates to on ice and how we can do workouts differently to achieve goal A versus goal B. So, I mean, I think it's important to have that conversation with whoever is designing your program. But then not a bigger point, but I really like the routine, the day-to-day routine, I think is so huge. And so many people are really missing it. They're like, you're going to work on an 8 this day, 6 the next day, noon the next day. Your body doesn't adapt as well either when you're throwing stuff at it like that. You may have the odd day where you have to work out a little bit later or whatever, but getting in a routine is there's a lot to be said for it. And in season too. You guys are in a routine, right? Like a pretty good routine. Sure. Yeah. And I think maintaining that same level of professionalism and routine in the off season is super, super important, mentally and physically.
I agree.
Yeah, and it's kind of a no-brainer, right, Bryce? Like you're waking up, you're 9 or 10, like you already know what you got. And you're right, like during the season, it's very structured, like as far as meeting at 9:15, practice at 10 o'clock, like depending on the team, right? And then you got to work out after or whatever. How much did you guys work out this year, Bryce? I know it was a weird year for you guys.
Yeah.
What was it like for you guys? Because this is another question that comes up a lot of times, I'm sure, with Mitch and even myself. Like, how often should you work out during the season? And now I know it's at the NHL level, but how much did you guys work out during the year? Like during the,
so I'd say this year obviously was crazier than others. Obviously, this was my first year, and it was a crazy schedule. You have a game every other day, and sometimes a lot of back-to-backs. So you only get like even practicing. We didn't practice much. Like you don't have the time. So I think probably I'd say 1, maybe 2 a week. Like if we'd have like 2 games back to back, we'd obviously have a day off the next day, so we'd work out after the game. And then there were always optionals. Usually they like the young guys to come in because it's up to the older guys if it's kind of optional, but it's optional for everyone. But I would always go in and it's just like 3 exercise workouts after every game, unless you have a game the next day. So they're all optional, but there are a few team lifts here and there. But obviously, like I said, this year's crazy. I'd assume it's probably like 2, 3 a week on a normal schedule where you have like 3 or 4 games a week. I'd probably say it's right by 2, maybe 2, 3.
Yeah.
But no, this year was so different because we couldn't practice, work out as much as you normally do. So you don't have that much time to get better. We didn't work on like a lot of stuff. Like we didn't have the time. A lot of it's just video, and that's what a lot of it was. Or it'd be a stretch at the hotel instead of going out on the ice or getting a workout in. So it was pretty like not much, but our bodies were obviously getting pounded by so many games. So there wasn't much that they could do as the strength coaches talking about to get us. So yeah, this year was crazy, but I'd say
on that note, real quick, something I want to highlight that you already mentioned. It'd be three exercise workouts, right?
Yeah.
So how long is a workout in season taking you?
Like it's only like maybe 10 to 20 minutes. Like they're so
exactly.
quick.
And that's something for young players that I think is really important for this to start to understand is that in-season training and off-season training is not the same. In the off-season, you're not trying to take the same workouts that you did in the off-season and somehow fit them in your weekly schedule. And I think that's where a lot of players, young players, can kind of throw training right out the window in season because they have this thought process that they need to do the same types of things that they were doing in the offseason, which is completely unrealistic. And the stuff that you're talking about, 3 exercises, it takes 10, 20 minutes. And it's not bagging you. It doesn't feel that hard, right? But it goes a long way. And that's the stuff that, again, I think young players, for anyone listening, really need to wrap their head around that these 3 exercise type things or whatever it is in season, they go a long way, even though it's not overly taxing, say, right? But it's keeping your body able to perform at a high level. And it's something we struggle with sometimes with players in season. They just want to throw it out the window or try to work their asses off too hard. It goes both ways. So it's good to hear you say that. And I just wanted to bring it to the forefront a little bit for anyone listening.
Well, it is true though. That's a really good point because sometimes like both of you guys said this, Bryce and Mitch both, but it might be a 15-minute workout. Like it's a 10-minute workout. It's not long. It's just getting some lifts in, getting a bit of mobility, a stretch, whatever. But that is huge, for that recovery or that maintenance or whatever you need, which sometimes kids think they need to be in the gym an hour and a half all the time. It's like, no. Sometimes it's okay to be like a quick one, do the specific stuff that you need done and then get out of there. You know what I mean? But yeah. One thing too, I wanted to ask you, Bryce, is as far as being like an undersized defenseman, what would you tell other undersized defensemen to like focus on in order to be able to play at that high level? Because there's a lot of guys in the league that are your size, stature, probably smaller than you are. Like you're a thick guy and strong guy, but that are very effective at that level. Like not getting, because you think like, oh, you're so like Mitch Marner, he's going to get blown up. Like the guy doesn't get blown up. Like his arm, this is unbelievable, right? But so for a guy like you playing D, you're going back to get pucks. Guys are like, you got 220 pound guys like barreling down on you, right? So what kind of advice would you give to young kids that are like maybe 5'9", 5'10", 5'11" defensemen that are, man, like this is going to be hard. Like, how do I do this? Like what are some of the big things that have helped you have success?
I think, well, obviously I know I'm probably not going to grow. There's not much hope there that I'm going to grow. I mean, I can only hope, but I'm going to assume no. So I think just working on the things that got you to where you are is like, I always work on, little things and focus on things that make me faster. And that's what I can control because I can't control my height. Obviously I'm probably not going to grow, like I said. So I'm going to be playing at that weight and height. And I can obviously put on some pounds in the summer and, try to get stronger. But you got to be able to move guys in front of the net, stuff, and guys that are 6'2", 6'3", it's doable, and just getting under sticks. And I think it's like you just got to be efficient. Like I can get away from guys a lot of the time just by a couple quick strides, and that can usually save me from taking big hits. And you just got to be smart, and got to be aware of who's around you, because there are obviously a lot of big guys out there that will crush you. But if you can put yourself in the right positions and be good with the puck, like I don't think you'll put yourself in those spots. So that's the thing for me when I go back for pucks. Like I love doing it because I usually can beat that first guy, and that's like one of my favorite things. I know everyone hates it, but if I can be, we work on that in the summer. It's making a little head fake. And, I don't know. You can be quicker, and I work on those things. That's one of the big things is I can always improve my game is my skating. So that's what I'll work on, to kind of separate me from those big guys. They can be bigger and stronger, and I can be quicker and obviously stronger as well. But just work on those little things that are your strengths of your game and try to get them even better. That's probably the biggest thing. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mitch. Go ahead.
I was going to say one thing that you've mentioned kind of over and over again, and again, I want to bring it forward for the young guys watching, but is awareness and just being aware of. You've talked about being aware of yourself, being aware of who's on the ice, being aware of the line that's on the ice, being aware of so many different things, and I think that that brings so much power to somebody when they're aware of who they are, what they can do, what their strengths are. And I don't think there's an age that's too young where you can start to learn about and pay attention to, those different things. And it's a skill itself. I think becoming aware is a bit of a skill in itself. Is to figure out where you do really excel and how you can use that in a game situation. So for the young ones watching, just start paying attention.
Yeah, totally. I 100% agree, man. Because it's funny, Mitch. I was going to talk about the exact same thing as far as like not as in depth as you did, but I think you are 100% correct. Just being aware. What I was going to ask you, Bryce, is how much do you focus on? We say shoulder checking, but to me, I think it's more on ice awareness. But how much on the ice do you focus on, like going back to what Mitch said about being aware, but like on the ice, how much do you focus on like just scanning, looking over shoulders? Like how often are you looking over shoulders? Is it constant?
It's constant. And like when someone dumps it in, you can obviously see, like you can shoulder check and you can find like who's going to be that forechecker. You know what I mean? If someone like there might be a skill guy that's coming to get you and he might not hit you. Like you might know that in the back of your head. Or if you do see a big guy, like you can you're aware of it and like don't put yourself in a bad position here, like because he's probably coming to hit you. Like obviously we spend lots of time watching video and playing against the same team over and over. We know who's on the ice, but so it's obviously harder for younger kids to, know that. But I don't know, you shoulder checking is such a big thing. You always want to know, who's behind you, who's coming, and how much time you have when you get that puck. That's a big thing for defensemen, going back for that pucks. And I think if you can, be aware of the situation and who's around you and how close they are, like it makes it that much easier because you can either make a really good player or it might just be a quick rim, like whatever it is. But shoulder checking, obviously, to your point, is huge, and there's never, enough shoulder checking. Get your head up as much as possible.
Totally. Oh, I love it. Kevy's in here. Kevy Lerno here. Kevy jumped in. He's just saying, after spending so much time in the NHL this season, is there anything different in your game that you want to really focus on specifically to prepare for next year? So, like, I guess obviously in your off season, you always have a bit of a plan and kind of talk to the coaches about that and what you want to do, but now that you've played at that level, are there stuff that you want to maybe add to your game, or like other things you really want to kind of focus on this off season to get ready for next year?
Yeah, and I think one of the things that stood out in my exit interview was just like being more of a threat offensively. Is like I've kind of nailed. Everyone's always said that like I'm an offensive defenseman. Going through my career, but like I've always labeled myself as like a two-way because like I want to be really good defensively, and then I feel like then you can be good offensively. So I think I got that down pretty much just from experience this year. I learned how to play defense more and more, and how to handle those guys. But I think one thing that I can focus on is being more of an offensive threat, and that's going to be working on my shot all the time. And then when I get put in those positions where I get the puck offensively and I'm on a 3-on-2, like it's just like finding the back of the net. So obviously I only had one goal, and then I've always scored 3 or 4 every year, and I want to get to that next point and get 10 goals or something. So I think that's a big thing this year. Is just like little like things that will help offensive, pulling pucks off the blue line. We always work on a lot of that stuff. But like another thing is like when I'm shooting pucks at the blue line, I'm usually just trying to like, get it through, like find the lane. But I feel like once like you could work on like, shooting for like spots in the net instead of just trying to get it through, you know what I mean? Like those are just little things that I think, can go a long way. And I think I could be a lot better offensively. So I think this summer, obviously the defensive stuff, we'll work on that as well. Just, body contact and stuff. But offensively, I want to score more goals and I want to be more productive. And that was one of the things is they think I can, be that player. So
100%.
Probably the thing I'm going to work on.
I totally agree with your coaching staff.
And shoot the puck more too.
100%. Well, I even just think like you had this move this summer that you pull the pucks in tight, like you fake guys on one way and then pull it in really tight. Yeah. You're cutting with your feet. And I didn't see you do it a ton in the NHL, but not really fine. But like you've got some things in your toolbox that I think if you work on and get more comfortable with, that you can, you know what I mean? Like you've got this to be able to pull them out. Yeah. And right. You beat a guy and then all of a sudden now it's 2-on-1. Right. And I saw you this year jump into a lot of plays, which I love. like you make your first pass to the winger on the wall and then you jump. And I love that. Like that 3-step mentality, get up ice. Like you can be part of this,
but at the same time, I feel like there's times where I can hold on to some pucks. I feel like I'm kind of just like, I'm just kind of rushing that next play to get it out of my hands. But there's times where I can, and I used to do it, in college, like where I was more comfortable. I'd hold on to pucks and I'd make like a great play instead of just passing it off to the next option. But that comes with confidence, that comes with experience, and that comes with a lot of extra work that we're going to put in the summer and work on those things.
Yeah, no, I love it, man. I got a couple more questions here. We'll go another couple of minutes if you're good with it. Yes, sir. Here's one more from
10 days.
From Andrew. Andrew Murray said, I missed quite a lot of ice time this year, obviously due to COVID. I'm not the greatest skater to begin with, but what are some good ways to become a better skater off the ice? Like, what are some things to do? I'll go off the skating side.
Laser might know more than I do.
No, you jump in too. One thing I've been talking to guys about with skating is like, honestly, I think using rollerblades and just working on like straight line stuff. You don't have to playing games and rollerblades is a little bit different than ice because it's a lot more awkward. But just straight line skating and rollerblades, working on your technique. So like, trying to stay straight lines, long strides, snapping your toe. Mitch, you and I were talking about like triple extension, but like using your hip, your knee, and your ankle and snapping that toe. Upper body movement you can work on with rollerblades, stuff like that. I think is huge. But I think honestly, man, that's one of the best ways to like really help your stride, gliding, even crossing over, quick starts. I mean, a bunch of stuff you can do on rollerblades if you have access to that, I think is huge. And then on the off ice side, Mitch, what are some things that you would recommend as far as, kind of helping work on skating stride and stuff?
First place I want to start too is bring up your NSDA videos they're free on YouTube. I think that just understanding, like, there's one that's just hockey player position, and you go over what a hockey player position looks like. And if you have difficulty getting into those positions, so for example, you talk about ankle flexion, so dorsiflexion, keeping your chest up, all that kind of stuff. If you have difficulty getting in the positions that are key for fast skating, then you need to work on mobility and achieving those positions, because if you're not getting in the proper position for skating, it doesn't matter how strong you are, how high you can jump, how explosive you are. If the positions aren't good, you're not going to be a really fast skater.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, and there's on the NSDA YouTube, there's more than enough videos to learn a thing or two about what a hockey player position looks like, what the stride looks like, how to extend, how to get your foot back on you, all that kind of stuff. So understanding and being aware of the different positions that a proper stride looks like, and then coming onto the off ice side is strengthening and mobilizing your ankle so you can hit those positions. We can kind of start from the ground up, and then working into your knee and your hip stabilizers. So tons of single leg work, and again, even on our YouTube channel, we have a few different videos on single leg stability, free stuff. But if I was to give you one piece of advice, it would be getting more stable on one leg, doing little hops on one leg, stabilizing that hop. That would be like a level 2 progression on single leg stuff. So making sure that you're starting at a level you can control, but strengthening the foot and ankle, mobilizing it, and getting strong on one leg is really important.
No, I love it.
But first and foremost, understand the mechanics.
Yeah. And for Andrew, if you want to clip some clips of Bryson skating up and down the ice, he's got a good knee bend.
Yeah, he's got a good stride on him.
Solid skater. Yeah, he's all right. And then this one here, Bryce, I'll get you to chime in on this a little bit, but like, how much time do you think U14? So you're looking at probably Bantam. U14 should be spent training over the summer. So you think like your minor Bantam, major Bantam year, which honestly, it's not that long ago as much as like you feel like you're oldest, but how much time like do you think is important? Like even for you looking back, did you spend too much time working out? Not enough time working out? Like what do you think? Like if you look at maybe a bit of on ice, a bit of working out, how many times a week do you think a Bantam player should be spending from what you've seen and experienced?
Yeah, I think we worked out a decent amount. Obviously, back then it was a little different. We all played spring hockey. I don't know if that's still a thing in summer hockey, like how that is. But I think it was more, we just had fun with it. We did workouts as a team. We'd have the odd practice, but we just played in a lot of tournaments. I don't know how old we were when this happened. Like with Dave Warren, all was that power play stuff. Like that was obviously younger, but it's definitely important. I think the summertime is the best time for you to get better and make strides where you can really focus on your game. You have the ice to yourself, and you have a lot of time. Whether you're individual working on things or you're with a few other guys, I think it's probably the best time to work on little things. And then during the year is when you work on a lot of those, team things and a lot of stuff positionally. But I think mechanically the summer is probably the best time to work on stuff. And I guess kind of just go at your own pace in a sense to, what your body can handle, and don't let hockey just consume your life either. Go have fun with your family and friends, and find other hobbies, because that's how you keep it interesting and have a lot of fun on and off the ice. So I guess to your question, I don't know how often we worked out. I can't really remember honestly back then, but whatever you feel and how much is good for you. But I think definitely get on the ice a decent amount every week, and workouts are just as important. Don't forget that.
That's actually phenomenal advice though, that because we'll have kids that are 13, 14 years old that come in and we'll recommend that they only actually come into the gym once or twice a week, even maybe once in the gym, once at home, or twice in the gym. But you can only do as much as your body can handle, and the only way for your body to handle more is by training. So to go from 0 to 5 days a week is a bit unrealistic. And it's funny because a lot of times when people jump in, they want to jump in, all the way, and they want to go right into 5 days a week. But your body can adapt to anything, but you need to give it the time and rest that it needs to adapt. Starting at 1 or 2 and then working your way up. I do think when you were at that age, you were 3 to 5, some weeks 5 times a week, but 3 to 5, like minimum 3 probably. But again, you had been training since probably a little bit younger. You're always playing other sports and stuff too, like prior to that. So your body could handle it. But that was actually really good insight, really, is take off as much as you can chew mentally and phically. Yeah, you hate training 5 days a week, then don't do it.
Yeah, I don't. And I think if you're a Bantam player and you're elite, like let's say you're AA, AAA, and you want to keep pushing, I think minimum, like working out wise, whether it's mobility, like nothing crazy, like taxing, but I would recommend 3 to 4 times a week doing something like that physically, and then getting on the ice once or twice a week. And you can take off weeks, you can take time away. That's totally fine. But just to be really, really specific for anybody listening, is if you have a strength coach or a skills coach or whatever you're doing, I think 3 to 4 times a week in the gym. And if you want to go to 5, that's fine. If the kid can take it, like Bryce could, Bryce was, I think, probably like 4 to 5 for sure. A lot of those kids, when they were get to like major Bantam, you know what I mean? Kind of that U14, U15. And once, twice, maybe even 3 times a week, depending on as you're getting closer, like August, September, when you're starting your season. I think that's fine. But I think it's one of those things where depending on how elite the player is too, because if the player, is a house league player, I wouldn't, and doesn't want to really do it, just like pump the brakes, go golf, go have some fun, go do some other things. You know what I mean? Yeah. But if they're really elite and they want to get after it and try to make that next jump or that next level, then I'm a big proponent that you got to spend time. You got to spend time on your craft.
Yeah, for sure.
You can play soccer, play other things. I love it, but you got to work out. You got to train. You got to get stronger. You got to put the time in to make that jump for sure, man.
To your point too, there, Blazer. And I mean, it doesn't need to necessarily maybe it's 1 or 2 times in the gym, 1 or 2 times on the ice to start out. But I think carving some time out every day to work, if you want to be elite, to work on something, whether that, again, you said shooting a couple pucks or mobility, but it comes back to what you were saying earlier about routine. Just having the routine of waking up every day, and you're taking some part of that day to become a better hockey player. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going on the ice or you're going to the gym. There's things that you can do at home, and there's things that are more or less taxing, but carving out a little bit of time, especially if you're looking to be elite, to work on something, I think there's a lot to be said for.
Totally. Yeah. Oh, I love that, man. All right, we got 2 more here. We'll take these ones and we'll try to be quick. But this is Stubbsy. Stubbsy plays actually Elgin Middlesex Chiefs. So played against Bryce's old alma mater here. But what's the biggest thing to work on for young? So Stubbsy's a D-man. Real good player, works his tail off. But what's the biggest thing to work on for young players? Let's say even for you, Bryce, as a D-man, if you had to go back and tell yourself at 13, 14, 15, 16, hey man, just focus on these 3 things or these 2 things, whether it's hockey, mental, whatever, but this will help you a ton. Is there any kind of advice when you look back, you're like, oh man, I wasted so much time doing arm curls. I should have done legs more. Pops off.
I mean, nothing really pops off the top of my head like that. I was like, wow, I wish I would have worked on this. I think when we trained, we covered almost a lot of the details. It was just kind of, me growing into, maturing and just getting better. And, I kind of worked on everything. But there's obviously little things you can work on, especially as a D-man, going back for pucks and offensively at the blue line. And, you could count on so many things that you can always work on every day. And there's so many little things get better. But I think the mental aspect of the game has just changed a lot nowadays. And you'll notice that as kids get older and when you go through the ranks that it's a lot more mental when you get to the NHL and when you get to those levels. What you have to do off the ice, whether that's recovery or whether that's eating healthy, there's so much that goes into it. And I think it's probably one of the biggest things, and is just getting your sleep and just little things that you can go and work on a lot of things at the rink, but when you go home, you can kind of shut your mind off for a little bit. And I think that was a big thing this year for me was there was so much hockey this year that when I went home, I would take my mind off, whether that's playing video games or whether that's FaceTime my family that was at home. I would find things to do outside that would take my mind off, and then when I get back to the rink, it's 100% of my focus is on hockey. So I think the mental aspect is huge. Whether that's, like I said, recovery, healthy eating. There's so much that goes into it, and to being one of the best players, you gotta be good at all those things. So I obviously can't tell him what to work on specifically, but I think there's endless things that you can work on, and you can always get better. There's no perfect player, obviously, so never have a ceiling for yourself. Keep making it higher, and then I just think mentally that the game's kind of changed a little bit now, and you have to play in the NHL. You have to be your best. Every second of the day you're at the rink. So I think that's probably the biggest thing.
No, and I think the mental part of the game is massive, man. Big thing that we overlook sometimes, and just how to park bad mental thoughts. You know what I mean? I suck, that I'm brutal, and you're not. Just pump the brakes. You're okay. And even for a kid like Stubbsy, who's an awesome young guy, but it's and you said this earlier on in this whole talk, but be patient. It's not a sprint, man. It's a be patient. It's okay. Because we want to get a better shot right now. We want to make that team right now. We want to be able to make a saucer pass over 3 things right now. It's no, it's okay, man. Just work on it. It'll come, and I think, I think you're definitely a testament to that for sure.
One thing you said there too, that
Mitch, yeah.
Should say, and I know Stubbsy, and I'll say this first, because I think he does a really good job of this actually for his age, but focus on where you are at the time. If you're at the gym, you're focused on training. If you're on the ice, you're focused on what you're doing on the ice. If you're at home, you can step away from that for a second. But I think that that's a huge thing. And I see I'm always amazed even at like a lot of you guys, how well you do that. The level of focus in the gym is always really high, the level of focus on the ice, but then you guys also leave and have a great time and do other stuff. And I really don't think that you guys are, super hung up on whether you hit a number on a squat or whether you whatever. Like, you're able to step away from it. But when you're there, you're really there. And I think that's a skill, I'll call it, that can be developed at a young age, is just being really present in the moment, wherever that is.
For sure.
Huge.
Yeah, definitely. Right, here's a little bit not gossip, but a little bit like, how tough was it to play in Buffalo this season, all the circumstances surrounding the franchise? And like, let's be honest, let's not like let's pull the elephant out of the room. But Buffalo was like, kind of, as far as the NHL concerns, like, it was a tough one, right? You had some good players there, weren't maybe underachieving, whatever. Guys got traded, guys left. And then it looked like, Buffalo's going to tank for the first overall pick and whatever. It doesn't matter. But what was it like, I guess, but kind of behind the scenes? Like, was it like, were you guys aware of that? Did it bug you guys, or was the camaraderie in the locker room pretty cool? Like, how was all that?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, whenever I talk about this, I get this question all the time. Everyone wants to know, how was the season? Like, we went through a coaching change, which was obviously tough. You have 4 new guys walk in the next day, and you see 4 guys gone. That's obviously hard. They were all great coaches that we had, but I think that kind of changed things. I think it had to happen. We went on a 17-game losing streak, which is obviously the biggest I've ever been a part of. I don't think I've ever experienced something like that, honestly. You just come. The camaraderie in the room wasn't bad though. Like, we were still having fun with it. This is our job. This is what we do for a living. Like, we would still come to the rink excited and trying to win that next game. But we went 17 games. We had a coaching change, and with the whole COVID thing going on, like, it was obviously tough. It was a tough year, but I think when we got the new coaches and stuff, they allowed a lot of younger players to play, and they kind of changed the lineup a bit. Obviously, we didn't have Eichel. Like, we traded Halsey and Stahl. Like, we were missing like a lot of guys, but we started winning games. We kind of changed our systems a little bit and tweaked things. And the one thing our coach said is, we're not, when we were in our losing streak, he's like, we're not just trying to win one game here. Like, we're trying to win a bunch. Like, we're trying to get better. He didn't really care of the outcome of the results. Like, it was tough because when you're out of playoffs, it's obviously different. That was also a first for me. You're kind of not playing for nothing, but there's no, there's no end goal. So it was tough, for guys probably to find motivation. But I think with the team we had, and we had a lot of young guys, like off the ice, it was a lot of fun. We started playing a lot better, with more pace, and we were just out there and having fun. And then, like, when guys like Hauser would come up and play, like, those were probably one of the best moments of the year, is when he came up. Like, he had they were calling him funny nicknames. Like, it was awesome. Like, when he came up, he won 2 games. Like, it was probably the coolest thing I've ever seen. Like, it felt like we won the cup. Like, I forgot you guys did a podcast with him.
No, but how fun was that when he won though? Like, because we got it from him, and he was like, it was amazing. First win was great, but like, as a player on the team, like, I get it, man. He comes up, he's battled, man. AHL, East Coast League. He's 20 years old. Yeah. Like, he's got club feet. Like, I mean, there's so much, you know what I mean? There's so many things there, right? So, like, what was it like, man?
So everyone knew that too, and he was on taxi for a lot of the years, so he was with a lot of the guys, so we knew him pretty well, and obviously I know him a lot better than everyone else. But no, it was just awesome when he finally got in the net. Like, we were like, we're not losing this game tonight. Like, we're winning this for him. And then we won. He swept that weekend. Like, he was all over like Buffalo news. Like, he was legit a legend in Buffalo. It was just like a feel good moment. Like, it felt like we were playing for something for those last 4 games, just because he was in that. And it was just like such a cool experience. Like, I don't know. It was obviously awesome for him, and then everyone around loved it too.
Yeah, that's great.
It was fun.
What were some of the nicknames? What were some of the?
I don't know where they came from, but they'd call him like Doogie Howser, and I don't know. He just he got the hat after the game once. Like, it was so funny.
Yeah,
I think we made the best out of it. Even though it was kind of a crappy year with COVID and kind of what happened, but I don't know.
And going on a 10-game, 12, 15, 17-game skid, like, you come to the rink, it's not the best, right?
Yeah, and I think we just kind of you kind of hit the panic button because you don't know what to fix. Like, what I mean? Especially at the NHL level, it's like, is it like us? Is it our systems? It was so hard. Like, we just there wasn't, until you win a game, like there's not much like hope that you're going to win. Like you kind of just come to the rink and it's, I don't know, it's tough. You're looking for just one win, but no, that was a tough stretch, but I think the year got a lot better as it went on.
Well, and you know what, man, honestly, like totally selfishly right now, you got 38 games in the end. Like, no, honestly, made some NHL money. I love it. I'm so pumped for you, man. I'm so excited like that happened for you. And I'm not surprised by it, man. There's certain guys who make the NHL. I'm like, whoa, that guy made the show. And for you, I was like, no, man, I think it's going to happen for you. And I don't know crystal ball, obviously, but I was like, yeah, I was so pumped for you, man. I really appreciate
this was a really exciting year. Yeah,
it was. Yeah. It was a lot of fun.
So awesome. So next year, we want a box when we go to Buffalo.
Yeah, we can cross the border.
Yeah, it's gonna be on your tab. I'm just gonna be like, Bryce has got it. He's right there.
Number 78. Put it on him.
He's got it. Just put it on his He's good. Thanks a lot, though, buddy. Man, this was awesome. Love it, man. This is great. Mitch, thank you, buddy.
That's great. Looking forward to seeing you in 10, 11 days there.
Yeah.
What's that?
Seriously, I said, how often do you guys do these? Every week?
Yeah, we've been doing them every week.
For a while. So how it started was I started doing them in in the winter. I had a little outdoor rink in the backyard, so I was doing lives, just like answering questions on skill stuff. Yeah. And then we went into this lockdown. I was like, hey, Mitch, you want to do one on just like off ice, like off season training and stuff? He's like, yeah, sure. Thinking the lockdown was going to be like a month,
2 weeks,
so it would be like 3 or 4 of them, and then it kept going. So then like, well, let's keep going, and then we'll just like we'll grab some of the boys that are like, playing, not playing, whatever. So that's when I started getting into like, let's grab some of the guys and chat. And like I said, it's just something that will air. Guys can see it and girls can see it and check it out. But yeah, it's awesome. I love it. I really appreciate you sharing your story because it's
of course.
Awesome.
No, I think we did something similar like last year, right? Was that last year we did this?
Totally.
Yeah, some kind of thing.
But hey, buddy, you weren't Showtime then, so
we've got a lot more to talk about.
It's great. This is the best, man. I love it. All right, boys. Thank you very much, man.
Good.
All right.
Yeah, we'll see you guys.
All
right.
Yeah, I'll see you guys soon. All right, see ya.
Take care, boys.